I am so excited to welcome my friend and positive psychology expert and practitioner, Alloro. Welcome to the show, my friend.
Thank you.
How are you today?
I'm well, thanks.
You look well.
So I have a theory on this positive psychology is that you just dress extremely well, and we are happy just looking at you.
We received that, Jess. We received that.
Thank you. You have to feel good, right?
Well, you tell me, you're the expert.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a theme of the show today, right? It's feeling your joy, feeling your peace, feeling your happiness.
Absolutely. What inspired you to pursue the positive psychology path?
Just a knowing, an intuitive sense that this would be what helps the world heal, right?
Mm-hmm.
Helping people learn to think differently, and that's really at the heart of, right, your work, Dr. Erin, that metacognition, to be able to observe your life as you're participating in it, and in real time make some shifts.
Become the change agent.
Yes.
So what kind of shifts do you see in the lives of the clients that you're working with?
An aggregate of lots of little things, I would say. I love Lynn Twist's book. Have you read The Soul of Money?
Yes.
Yes. Have you read that book?
I haven't.
It's really fascinating. She starts it by saying, most people wake up in the morning thinking they didn't get enough sleep last night, and they go to bed at night thinking I didn't get enough done today. And the day is filled with negative, scarce thoughts that are bookended by those two not enough thoughts.
The scarcity mentality. It's really interesting. Brene Brown covered that a lot in one of her books, and how we're constantly thinking we are never enough, we've never done enough, and that we never will have enough.
Yeah.
And one topic, I think, or at least one subject where people really struggle with that is around money. And I always find it fascinating, some of the positive psychology sort of findings around sort of money and happiness. Can you talk to us a little bit about that research?
Yeah, I mean, up to a certain point, money will make you happier. And then past that point, it really has the law of diminishing returns. So I think a lot of people think that would make them happier. And yeah, I mean, once your basic needs are met and your life is pretty good, it will up till that point. But I was just reading a study that talked about around $100,000 being a different inflection point where you start making a life evaluation at that point. And in different cultures and societies, it's a different number. So you don't want to say it's just one number, but thinking I will be happy when I get that money, or I will be happy when something is different than it is today is really misinformed kind of thinking.
Right. So I have a question for you, because obviously some of my best friends are positive psychologists, and I'm all for understanding the power of the mind. But I do think that there is a pitfall in just the word positive psychology, in that so many people now are trying to just be happy, and they're not like dealing with the heavy emotions that go on. So how does positive psychology deal with that?
Yeah, so I would just say positive psychology, I'm sure you define it here, the science of human well-being, where life is about a full range of human emotions. So you wouldn't want to say to be happy all the time is the goal, right? Because if you were always happy all the time, you wouldn't know what that felt like anymore, because you have nothing to compare it to. So it's in the contrast that life is lived. And yes, you do need to experience sadness, and you do need to experience loss and go through those emotions of grief in order to then feel the positive opposite, which is the joy, the peace, the love.
Yeah, a lot of time we have self-judgment. Like, if I'm not feeling totally happy, something's wrong with me. Why am I, something's broken, and instead of getting into understanding and using that negative emotion, realizing that that's helping propel me in the right way, but also to really recognize and feel the grief, the sadness, whatever it is, as is that, instead of putting a label as that something's wrong with this. And so I'm sure that positive psychology deals with that, but it's just such an interesting kind of pitfall of it.
Yeah, I think it's almost a misnomer, right? Because at first glance you think, oh, just think positively, which is part of it, but not the full part of it.
Tell us a little bit about the SOMO theory.
The theory that I like to work with in organizational development, community development, is that there are social emotional leaders, SOMO leaders, and they're people who are change agents. They're people who would identify with the work of helping influence positive changes. So in and identifying who they are and helping those people build their own psychological muscle, we then, by degrees of influence, can reach other people. So the idea is find them, leverage them, and then send them out to do more effective work.
So how could somebody who is not a positive psychologist apply that SOMO theory to their own life?
They take on their own stuff, right? They say, okay, for me first, I will work on myself in service of helping the world. And so a lot of the folks that come through my classes and my coaching are people who ultimately realize, ooh, I have a lot of work to do, right? I'm called to help other people, but I really see this is all about me.
Absolutely. So one of my favorite quotes is, "Your happiness is your gift to the world." You know, and I think I found that to be true. You and I have talked a lot about some of the research that points to not just the fact that sort of money doesn't lead to happiness, you know, particularly after basic needs are met, but also the sort of flip side of that coin also, which is that optimism and resilience and grit and some of these other qualities that we've sort of defined in positive psychology does lead to increased abundance and success in your life. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I mean, I think that the idea that your well-being is predictive of your success is a good thing to keep in mind.
sure.
Not that you then are happy once you are successful. A lot of people think when the success comes, then I'll be happy. But a lot of great research shows that just the opposite is true, right? That your happiness and well-being will predict the success that you're wanting.
So true, right?
Yeah.
We have it all backwards. That's right. I love it. So right now you're getting your PhD, is that right?
Yeah, I'm working on a
Awesome.
PhD. I
Amazing.
just began,
Congratulations.
so finding a new normal in all of it and being a student, right? I think someone earlier was talking about the coach needs coaching, and so yeah, keeping in mind,
Definitely.
you know, that the learning is never done in the science of human nature, and so
But you work one-on-one and with businesses, correct?
work one-on-one, businesses, communities, and training other change agents. So we have a course coming up starting in Los Angeles on October 13th. It's a 6-month certification training change agents of the world. So people who are called to learn more of positive psychology, it's called the Certificate in Applied Positive Psychology, offered through the Flourishing Center. And it's
And the Flourishing
wonderful.
Center based out of Penn.
No, the Flourishing Center based out of New York City. And yeah, so we offer the course in different cities. This will be our first Southern California cohort. It's kind of like yoga teacher training, where some people take it for their deepening of their own practice, and others take it because they want to teach yoga. So we get both. We get folks that are there for personal development, others for professional development, many people for both.
Nice. Thank you so much for all your work. How can they find you?
theflourishingcenter.com for the course, at Louis Alloro, louisalloro.com for coaching or any type of organizational development, leadership development.
Appreciate it, brother.
Thank you.
So much. Stay tuned. We'll be back with more. Good morning, La La Land.
Thanks so much.
Thanks.